thought our centers did a good job, between them. They had 18 rebounds in 40 minutes. Then obviously TK got, 15 in 34 minutes, and I think that's the difference. But just the astronomical number, just like when it happened against us, and we gave up 20 offensive rebounds, and now we, have 19 rebounds, and just the possessions. That's what I talked about, like who normally wins the possession war. I just didn't think we'd dominate it. We were just trying to win it. So to have 4 more turnovers than them and 24 more rebounds and be plus 20, you're putting yourself in a pretty good position.
Just the overall impact that Trey had tonight, even the passing that you were getting from him at various times throughout the game. This seemed like, for obvious reasons, a very different version of what you guys looked like last week.
Yeah, obviously he gives us that dynamic, and then they're trying to flip, offense, defense there the last 4 or 5 minutes. And that puts us in a bind defensively. There's no doubt about that. We got lucky that they missed a couple wide open threes, but his ability to drive the ball and then make those intermediate shots, and just to get off to a good start on the road sometimes is hard, especially they had such a great environment. And I thought he did it for us in the first half. He was really, really good. And I thought Braden obviously carried it for us in the second half. And, you got to be able to make shots and keep them at bay. And I thought both of those guys in the first and second half did that.
Matt, you always talk about early in seasons, you want to find out a little bit about your team's competitive personality. You often use the word grimy and, toughness and things like that. Did you learn anything about your team with the rebounding and,
Right.
getting the stops you got at the end there?
Yeah, they were great, man. They really responded. And, we haven't played great here. Like obviously Trey's a big part of our team. And when you lose him, you got to move on. Like that's what everybody says. Like whether you're ranked or not ranked or whatever happens, like that's your team. Someone's in foul trouble, someone's hurt, tough. Like the next guy's got to step up and play. And getting him back was great. But I think we found out a lot, just in our effort. I'm not saying we were perfect because we weren't, but I thought our effort was much better. I think every team and every coach goes through it at the beginning of a season. Like your fight, everybody wants, a better role. Everybody wants to shoot the ball more. They want to win, but they want to win a certain way. And you got to work through some of that role definition. And that's difficult. And the better your team is, the harder it is, because you got guys coming off the bench. They got guys coming off the bench. If you gave them more minutes, they could do some things. But so do we. And that's what a really good team, has. And so how you can morph that and keep everybody together and go through, because this win you think is great for us. And it's a resume builder. But this loss right here could be the best thing that happens to them. And like we just haven't played well, and we got their attention. And we played much better, and we were quicker to the basketball. But, yeah, we showed some resiliency today, and that was good to see.
Just in the big picture of this game, you got some really big shots off possessions that didn't necessarily work. The 3 by Omer in the first half, the 3 by Jakari, some of those things. Just how important was that to be able to just kind of ad-lib when things went sideways?
Yeah, keep playing. We do, a couple breakdown series leading up to the game, and one of them is normally the play after the play. And say, like, okay, if you execute the play and you get your shot, you take your shot. But if you don't execute, or their defense is just better than your offense, how do you respond when you don't get the ball where you want it to be? Like, how do you move the basketball? How do you get into other actions? How do you get into the second action or the third action? And that's important. And I can't go through each one of those plays, but it's something we work on a lot. And, you just got to keep going. You got to keep making the next right play, and you have to be aware of, time and score.
You talked the other day about last year's game and how that second half defensively was one of the highlights of the season from that regard. You kind of assess what you saw today, maybe between first and second half.
Yeah, not letting, Cell get going and Phelan. And so, like, I always talk about this. If you got guys that can score the basketball, and if they have more shot attempts than points, you've done your job. How you get there sometimes is, Phelan's a good player. He's a very good player. And we wanted to square the ball. We wanted to keep it in front of us. But we didn't want to give their big guys slips. That's what, from their last game, we just thought, they just got so many layups. And it doesn't mean they got a lob dunk. They got some things. But we really wanted to keep it, on the perimeter. And obviously they took 44 threes. And so we simply told the story to our guys. We said, when we played them in Toronto, They made 13 threes in the first half, and we were down 2. Now, we got the best player in college basketball. You know, it's a little bit of an X factor. But we just said, like, let's stay with it, and let's not lose our mind if they make some of these. But let's keep, you know, working on keeping the ball out of the paint and then tracking those rebounds down. And, you know, we were able to stay with it, but not letting right cell get going is big, man. He's a veteran. He's a flamethrower. He can really, because, you know, Holloway gets going, and they got some pretty good production from, you know, their front line. You know, those guys made some shots, and they made some threes, and they did some good things. But at the end of the day, like, outside of Holloway, nobody really got away from us.
Matt, that was a really important stretch of minutes you got from Omer in the first half.
Yeah.
What did you see from him in terms of his readiness for that moment and his aggressiveness?
Yeah, you know, they're playing in a drop, and he has a nice pull-up. So he got to his pull-up a couple times, made that 3. I don't know about his transition 3 the one time. But, yeah, did well, man. He guarded. He handled it when, you know, when Braden was out. So, you know, Braden was out for like 6 minutes in the first half there, and that was huge. And then Braden was able to, you know, play with 3 fouls. He got a quick 3rd foul in the early second half. But no, Omer was great, man. He's had a great attitude. He's a very talented player. It's one of those role definition things. You know, only getting 17 minutes. I think last game he got 12 minutes, and he's happy. And he's happy in that locker room, and you know that's what you need. We need some guys to sacrifice and just keep showing up and helping our team.